The year was 2371, 30 years ago. Before Dawnfire, before Earth had real power, before humanity understood the price of trust. Back then, Earth was desperate. Climate disasters had broken the planet. Cities were underwater. Food was low. Resources were almost gone. Billions had died in the Great Collapse. So when the Galactic Union sent ships, Earth called it a miracle. They came in peace. They offered help, technology, medicine, clean energy. In return, they asked for one thing: join the Union, become one with the stars. Earth said yes. The first years were good. Human cities were rebuilt. Diseases disappeared. Food was plentiful. But then, the rules began. It started small. You may not use fusion drives without council approval. No colony can be founded without Union supervision. AI development is restricted to level 3. Slowly, Earth's skies filled with Union satellites. Human ships had to send reports every time they traveled beyond the moon. Even Mars had alien monitors. At first, humans obeyed. They thought it was normal. But it wasn't peace. It was control. And it got worse. A man named Elian Cortez lived in those years. He was a ship engineer from Argentina. Smart, hopeful, and proud to be one of the first humans allowed to work off-world. But on his first mission, his crew found something strange. An ancient alien ship floating near Jupiter. They reported it, excited. They thought it would be shared. Instead, the Galactic Union seized it. Elian and his crew were arrested for violating artifact policy. They were never allowed to return to Earth. For 10 years, Elian lived on a mining station, a human engineer doing dirty work for alien companies. No trial, no warning, just silence. That's when people began to see the truth. Earth protested. Activists spoke out. A young diplomat named Adira Hale, the same Hale from the peace talks, gave a speech. We were not welcomed. We were chained. You didn't invite us into the stars. You locked us in the basement. Her words were banned from Union media. But humans shared them, whispered them, remembered them. And in secret, something began to grow. Back to the present, 30 years later. Inside a black vault beneath the Atlantic Ocean, Adira Hale walked alone. The vault was cold, silent. Protected by 10 layers of defense, it held no weapons, only data. The memory bank. Here, Earth stored every document the Union tried to erase, every hidden law, every name of every human exiled or killed, every lie told in the name of peace. She stopped in front of a single screen. On it, Cortez, Elian, missing, status, classified. Hale whispered, "You're not missing. You were taken." Behind her, a young officer asked, "Why keep these records alive?" Hale turned, eyes hard. "Because the galaxy thinks we've forgotten." She pressed a button. A bright red light flickered on. But we remember. Far away, in Union space, a scout ship flew past the asteroid belt. Aboard, 2 alien officers were watching human systems, tracking signals, mapping ship routes. They didn't expect anything unusual, until something blocked their radar. A large object, dark, silent. It moved without heat, without sound, almost invisible. One officer leaned forward. "That's not one of ours." They tried to scan it. The ship disappeared. Gone. No wreckage. No signal. Just gone. Their last message was one word, cut short by static. It's awakening. Back at the Union Council chamber, another emergency meeting began. Another scout lost near Sol system. One member reported, "No distress beacon. No survivors." Others argued, "Impossible. Humans don't have stealth tech." But someone whispered, "They didn't used to." Final scene, cliffhanger. On Mars, a secret construction site came alive. Red dust swirled as giant doors opened. Underground, a row of sleek, jet-black ships stood waiting. One of them activated. Its name flashed on screen. Dawnfire 3, Cortez class. Admiral Price watched from a command tower. "Let the Union wonder," he said. "They enslaved us with peace. Now we'll break them with memory." Space is loud with silence. It does not scream. It does not warn. But sometimes it whispers. And the whispers had started. Alien merchant ships near Earth's system began sending strange reports. Human traffic is quiet. No contact from civilian channels. Their satellites are moving. Then one day, a scout ship sent its final message. "We saw something near Saturn. It wasn't possible." And then, nothing. No wreckage. No beacon. No signal. The Galactic Union brushed it off. "Maybe an accident," they said. But deep inside, they knew. Something had changed. Inside a private chamber on the alien capital world, Lurak stood before the council again. He looked tired, sleepless, concerned. "The humans are preparing," he said. "Not openly, but deeply, quietly, and with purpose." An elder alien frowned. "You said they had no war fleets." "They didn't," Lurak replied. "But I think they do now, and we just can't see them." The room fell silent. Another counselor laughed. "What would Earth build that we can't detect?" Lurak looked directly at her. "That's what scares me." In Union space, a secret ops team was deployed. 3 ships, invisible to normal sensors. Their job, fly to Neptune, gather data, and leave. They never made it past Pluto. A single frame from a damaged camera showed a black triangle, moving faster than light. And then static. One analyst whispered, "That's human design." Another shook his head. "Humans can't move that fast." Someone replied, "They couldn't. Now they can." Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Price stood aboard a hidden command ship in orbit around the moon. The crew watched reports from Union space. "They're scared," said the communications officer. Price smiled. "Good, but not scared enough." He turned to the window. Far beyond the moon, Dawnfire 1 floated in blackness, still cloaked, still silent. Inside it were weapons the galaxy had never seen. Not bombs, not nukes, but things designed to disable, not destroy. Because this wasn't about wiping out the Union, it was about breaking their control. On the alien homeworld of Turakal, riots broke out. The news of missing scout ships had reached the public. People were afraid. Some shouted, "We should not have pushed the humans." A young alien rebel leader, Nyrus, gave a secret broadcast. "The Council lied to us. They enslaved Earth, and now Earth is rising. We should stand with them, not against them." The Council labeled her a traitor, but the message had already spread across 19 systems. Back at Union HQ, panic grew. One general slammed his fist on the table. "Enough. Humans must be reminded who rules this galaxy." "Then send the fleet," someone said. A voice from the back spoke softly. "But what if we're sending it to our own end?" Far away, near the asteroid belt, an alien recon drone finally captured a full scan. It saw something hidden behind a massive rock field. Not one ship, but 5. All black, all cloaked, all aimed at different Union worlds. And in the center of them all was a ship marked with red stripes. Dawnfire 0. The first ship ever built under the secret program. Larger than anything Earth had ever launched. A symbol of patience, of memory, of anger. Final scene, cliffhanger. On Earth, Adira Hale stood before a giant screen. Behind her, hundreds of diplomats, engineers, soldiers. The countdown had begun. Launch code authorization in 30 seconds. A young officer turned to her. "Ma'am, should we issue a public statement?" Hale didn't blink. "No. Let the galaxy keep guessing." She walked away from the screen, whispering, "We gave them silence. Now we'll show them what's behind it." The stars were holding their breath. For weeks, the Galactic Union had watched their fleets vanish, their systems crash, their lives fall apart. Earth had said nothing. No peace offer, no demands, just one message repeated across the stars: "We remember." And now the galaxy waited. Would Earth attack? Would they conquer? Would they burn it all down? Far from Earth, a storm gathered. Not just humans now. Dozens of alien ships appeared across the edges of Union space, some from small planets, others from long-forgotten colonies. They were not enemies of Earth. They were witnesses, and they were tired of silence too. Each one sent the same encrypted code. Standing by for the signal. Back on Earth, inside the command room of Dawnfire Zero, Admiral Price stood before the war map. Adira Hale entered, calm and clear. "Our allies are ready," she said. "Systems once ruled by fear now look to us, not as conquerors, but as a spark." "Are we ready?" Price asked. She smiled faintly. "We've been ready for 100 years." The signal. At 600 Earth Standard Time, a single word was sent from Earth across the galaxy. "Now." And silence shattered, everywhere at once. On a mining world in Union control, human AIs activated, Union weapons locked up. On a trade station, the doors opened for rebels. Union guards found their weapons melted from inside. On a rich Union core planet, every screen turned black, then lit up with a face. Adira Hale. She didn't shout. She didn't threaten. She simply said, "We asked for friendship. You gave us chains. We asked for peace. You gave us orders. Now, we give you a choice. Let go, or be made to." The Galactic Union cracked. Half their fleets were gone. The rest were scattered, broken, or scared to act. Some Union leaders surrendered their posts. Some sent messages begging for talks. Others ran. Final stand. Union core world. One last Union warship group refused to fall back. They circled their capital planet, shields raised, weapons online. They waited for Earth to strike. Instead, the skies above them opened. 100 ships. Not just Earth's, but from across the galaxy. Every one of them turned to face the Union fleet. No one fired, but every targeting system locked on. The Union fleet shut down its weapons, and a single transmission played. "This is not your galaxy anymore. It belongs to the free." The silence was over. Across 1,000 worlds, cheers erupted. People danced. Soldiers dropped weapons. Children in the outer colonies saw Earth's flag on their screens and smiled. Because the humans had not come to destroy. They had come to remind the galaxy. That peace is not obedience. That silence is not respect. That even the smallest voice can rise like thunder. Final scene. A new era. Adira Hale stood in front of the new Galactic Assembly. No thrones. No chains. No masters. Just voices, equal and free. She looked out across the room. Humans, aliens, former rebels, engineers, teachers, farmers. The future, she said. "We are not rulers. We are not saviors. We are the proof that even the forgotten can rise." The galaxy listened. The galaxy remembered. And finally, the galaxy was free. The Galactic Union was quiet for too long. They watched their scout ships vanish, their data lines fail, their colonies shut down for minutes at a time. No war had been declared, but they were already losing control. And control was everything. So they made a decision, not public, not official, but deadly. They called it Project Silence. The goal: hit Earth fast, hit hard. Destroy Dawnfire-class ships before the humans could fully deploy them. 3 Union fleets were sent. Fleet 1 went to Mars. Fleet 2 went to Earth's orbit. Fleet 3 was assigned to intercept Dawnfire 0 near Jupiter. In total, 72 warships. The Union's best. Armed with plasma cannons, gravity bombs, and shield-piercing missiles. They expected an easy win. They were wrong. Jupiter. The ambush. Fleet 3 dropped out of light speed. Scanning. Waiting. Nothing showed up. Dawnfire 0 is gone, the captain said. We've missed it. But a moment later, everything went dark. Not just radar. Not just comms. Their power disappeared. Inside the lead ship, the crew started to panic. Reboot failed. We're being boarded. No, wait. It's not boarding. It's AI intrusion. And then, Dawnfire 0 decloaked. It wasn't firing. It just moved between the ships, one by one. Each ship shut down as it passed, like turning off lights in a hallway. In under 3 minutes, the entire fleet was dead in space. No deaths, no explosions, just silence. Perfect irony. Mars, the trap. Fleet 1 arrived above Mars expecting resistance. Instead, they found nothing, until they entered the lower orbit. That's when Dawnfire 2, Hale-class, activated its defense net. A mirror field projected fake targets. The Union ships fired at shadows. They moved deeper. Suddenly, real weapons activated. EMP cannons, railguns designed to crack Union hulls, data scramblers that made crews see ghost signals. Half the fleet turned on each other in confusion. The rest tried to flee, but it was too late. Only 3 ships escaped. They didn't return with pride. They returned with fear. Earth orbit. The warning shot. Fleet 2 reached Earth. Their orders: show force, demand surrender. Instead, they were met by Adira Hale herself on a public frequency. You came here to scare us, she said. We are not scared. We are ready. Then, 5 Dawnfire-class ships decloaked. The lead Union ship launched a missile. The humans did not shoot back. Instead, Dawnfire 3 activated its wave field, a tech the Union had never seen. The missile stopped mid-space, reversed, and flew back to the ship that launched it. The explosion was massive. The message was louder. We don't start wars, but we finish them. Back on the Union capital planet, the Council was in chaos. They disabled our fleets without firing a shot. They didn't want war, but we forced their hand. This isn't a war we can win with ships. One quiet voice said, we enslaved a species that never asked for help. And now they're showing us what true freedom looks like. No one spoke after that. Final scene, cliffhanger. In deep space, a new fleet of non-human ships gathered. Not Union, but other species. Races who had also been controlled, taxed, or silenced by the Union. And now, they were looking to Earth. One captain said, we were afraid before, but now we see Earth stand. Maybe it's time. We stand too. The galaxy was confused. Alien news channels across hundreds of worlds showed the same shocking footage. The humans walking away from the peace talks. Some said it was a mistake. Others said it was a threat. One popular headline read, is humanity planning to attack? But the humans said nothing. No messages, no press statements, no warnings, just silence. The Galactic Union was not used to silence. When other species faced the Union's anger, they begged, sent gifts, or made promises. But humans simply disappeared. Back to Earth. Back to their strange, quiet planet. In a war room deep under the surface of the alien capital planet, 12 high-level leaders met. This is unacceptable, one alien growled. We gave them a chance. We were generous. A short, sharp-eyed alien spoke next. We should send a fleet, surround Earth, make them sign. But one old counselor raised a bony hand. No, Not yet. First, we send eyes. That's when they looked to Lurok. Lurok was young, smart, and he had seen the humans up close. He didn't want this job, but he couldn't refuse. Earth. 2 days later, Lurok's ship arrived in Earth's orbit. He looked down at the blue planet, covered in oceans and clouds. It looked peaceful, almost innocent. He landed in a quiet city called Helsinki. There were no tanks, no fighter jets, no signs of war. People laughed. Children played. Markets were open. It looked normal. But Lurok had seen their faces in the council. He knew something was hidden beneath the calm. He walked through the city. No one stopped him. He had diplomatic clearance. At a public plaza, he heard a voice coming from a large screen. A woman stood on a stage. Behind her was a flag with stars. She wore a dark coat, and her voice was cold and clear. "We walked away because peace without respect is slavery," she said. "We walked away because they thought we were afraid. They were wrong." The crowd didn't cheer. They didn't clap. They just listened, with serious faces, like soldiers before a storm. Lurok frowned. He tapped his wrist and recorded the speech. Then something strange happened. As the speech ended, the crowd slowly turned and left. Quiet, calm, no slogans, no chaos. But Lurok felt it. They were preparing, not for war, for something deeper. That night, Lurok sent a private message back to the Union. They are not gathering weapons. They are gathering will. Far above Earth, a satellite drifted through space. It didn't belong to the Union. It was built in secret by humans. It watched every alien ship that came close. On its screen, Lurok's ship was marked, but no one shot at it. No one jammed it. They just let him see, as if to say, "You're welcome to look, but you won't understand." Meanwhile, in a dark chamber on the moon, Admiral Price met with 3 generals. "Status of Project Dawnfire?" he asked. A technician replied, "Phase 2 completed. Ships are spread across deep space, hidden, powered down, invisible." Price nodded. "Good. Let them think we're doing nothing. Let them think we're weak." He looked at a hologram of the Galactic Union's council. "They believe they can still control us. They don't understand what they've triggered." Back on the alien capital planet, the council received Lurok's report. Most ignored it. "So what?" One laughed. "They're making speeches. Let them talk." But one advisor reread Lurok's final line. "This is not a species preparing for revenge. This is a species preparing for independence." A chill moved through the room, the kind that comes before lightning strikes. Ending scene, cliffhanger. Back on Earth, in a quiet desert, a massive steel door slowly opened. Dust rose, lights flickered on. Inside, a long black ship rested, silent, deadly, and unlike anything the Union had ever seen. Engraved on its side were just 2 words: Dawnfire 1. Its systems powered up for the first time. Its engines whispered. And deep in its core, something ancient awoke. The council chamber was quiet, too quiet. Inside the great round hall, hundreds of alien leaders sat at long black tables. Their faces were serious, their eyes fixed on one small group of people, the humans. 5 human diplomats sat at the far end. They were the only species in the room without guards or weapons. Their faces were calm, their eyes cold. Everyone waited for the answer. A tall alien, gray-skinned with 4 eyes and a long neck, stood up. His voice was soft, but firm. "We offer peace, as promised. The treaty is fair. If Earth signs it, the Galactic Union will welcome them back." He smiled, but it wasn't a real smile. It was the kind of smile a predator gives before it eats. The lead human, Ambassador Hale, didn't smile back. He slowly picked up the treaty and looked at it. No one in the room spoke. No one moved. Hale turned each page, slowly, one by one. He already knew what it said. The treaty looked peaceful on the outside, but between the lines it was full of traps. Humans would lose control over their spaceports. Their ships would be tracked. Their AIs would be monitored. They would need permission to build new colonies. It was not peace. It was a leash. A quiet voice buzzed in Hale's earpiece. "Confirm, sir. The translation matches. Hidden restrictions in sections 3, 7, 9, and 14. It's a control deal." Hale closed the treaty. He placed it gently on the table. The alien leaders leaned forward. They waited for him to say yes. But Hale didn't speak. He stood up instead. His voice was calm, but heavy. "We decline." The words echoed like thunder. A ripple of shock moved through the chamber. Some aliens gasped. Others stood up in protest. One council member even shouted, "You can't refuse. You came here for peace." Hale didn't flinch. "We came here to listen. We heard you, and now we are done." The other human diplomats stood beside him. They turned and began walking toward the exit. The doors were still open. An alien leader pounded his fist on the table. "This will lead to war." Hale paused. He turned slightly, his eyes scanning the room. "If that happens," he said slowly, "it won't be us who started it." Then the humans were gone. The chamber fell into chaos. Alien leaders began shouting over each other. Some called for emergency meetings. Others demanded human communication be cut off. One voice, quiet but strong, whispered in fear. They walked away, like they don't need us. In a corner of the room, a young alien officer named Lurak watched everything carefully. He was not a diplomat. He worked for the intelligence corps. His job was to observe humans. And what he observed worried him deeply. Humans weren't afraid. They didn't look weak. They didn't beg. They didn't threaten. They just walked out. That silence, that calm, it was not normal. Not for a species that had once nearly destroyed itself. Lurak tapped a message into his wrist device. "Report. Peace talks failed. Humans decline treaty. Emotion analysis. 0% fear, 90% control, 10% something else." He hesitated, then added, "Recommend surveillance increased. Something feels wrong." Far above the chamber, a human ship waited in orbit. It had arrived quietly, with permission, and was supposed to leave once the talks were over. Inside that ship, a man watched the news feed from the chamber. He was not in uniform, but everyone in the room stood when he entered. He was Admiral Price, commander of the secret Dawnfire initiative. The room was silent. He looked at Hale on the screen, saying the words, "We decline." A quiet smile touched the Admiral's face. "They're not ready," he said, "but we are." In deep space, far from any star, something enormous began to wake. A shape hidden behind cloaking fields. A machine built not for war, but for survival. Its engines hummed. Its lights flickered on. Back on Earth, no panic spread. No alarms rang. The news channels called the peace talks unfinished, not broken. But inside military bases, scientists, soldiers, and diplomats moved quickly, quietly, not to fight, to prepare. The humans had waited years for peace, but now they understood. The aliens never wanted peace. They wanted control. And the humans were done asking. The galaxy had forgotten fear. For centuries, the Galactic Union ruled with smooth words and shiny treaties. Their enemies either joined quietly or vanished quietly. But now, something they never expected was rising. Humanity. Not shouting. Not begging. Not even mourning. Just preparing. On the dark side of Earth's moon, inside the command center of Dawnfire Zero, alarms began to blink green. The main reactor reached full power. Weapons locked in place. Stealth systems active. Eye online. A single word flashed on the screen. Awakened. Admiral Price stood at the front deck, watching the stars. Behind him, the crew was quiet. Focused. Ready. This was not war as the galaxy knew it. This was something new. Meanwhile, across the Galactic Union, strange things were happening. Trade routes near Sol went silent. Union satellites started losing signal. Military communication lines glitched for seconds at a time. No explosions, no warnings, just disruption. The kind that comes before the storm. In the Union's main defense center, a high-ranking alien officer yelled at his staff. "Track them. Where are the humans hiding?" "No signals, sir." "Scan the asteroid belts." "We did. Nothing shows up." He slammed his claws on the console. "They're ghosts." A young tech whispered, "Maybe they've learned how to become invisible." The officer stared at her. His voice dropped. "No, they've learned how to become unreachable." On Mars, inside a massive underground hangar, another Dawnfire-class ship came online. Its name, Dawnfire 2, Hail Class. Not built for attack, built for shutdown. Designed to move into enemy systems, hijack their AIs, blind their satellites, and cripple fleets without firing a shot. Because Earth had studied the Union for decades. They knew how it worked, and they had built ships to break it. Far beyond, on a peaceful alien colony world called Zetherian, something strange happened. At 300 hours, all power cut out. No comms, no shields, no sensors. For 6 minutes, the entire city went dark. And then the lights returned. No deaths, no destruction, but one message appeared on every screen. "We remember. We rise. This is your only warning. Earth." Panic spread like wildfire. Back in Earth orbit, a small Union scout ship drifted too close to the moon. Inside, the alien crew watched in horror as Dawnfire 0 uncloaked. Just for a moment. Massive. Silent. Covered in sharp black armor. It didn't fire. It didn't chase. It simply watched, and then it vanished again. The crew barely escaped. Their report sent the Council into crisis. In the Union capital, an emergency session was called. "This is no longer diplomacy," a counselor shouted. "This is covert war." Another added, "They haven't killed anyone yet. They're sending a message. But what if the message is, 'Next time we will'?" Final scene, cliffhanger. Back inside Dawnfire 0, Admiral Price stood before a hologram of the Union galaxy map. He tapped 5 systems, each marked in red. Each was once used to control Earth's trade, data, and movement. "Phase 3 begins," he said. Adira Hale's voice echoed from the comms. "We asked for peace. You gave us chains. Now, we show you what freedom looks like."